I'm no better than the indifferent murderer on death row. I'm no worse than the greediest narcissist who takes advantage of every situation. I believe I'm no different than anyone. When I tried to describe my younger self, I talk about self-cynicism, self-blame, self-shame. But certainly for a while it was self-hatred. It's taken me a long time to face that truth and to be honest and transparent about my reality. Now that I find myself in a position of trying to help others, I think it's important for me to pause for a second and unwrap a couple things. When I'm honest with myself and honest with the world, I think a lot of that downward thinking of self, it helped me reach a place where I could be gentle with myself. When I first heard the word beginner's mind, child's mind, that phrase hit me like a ton of bricks. Because when I had my children in my life and helped me realize that they didn't hold on to judgments, they didn't hold on to blame. It was probably around 7 years old that they started remembering what happened yesterday and held on to that emotional attachment of judge, assume, and blame. You know, they're holding on to emotional happenings in their lives and carrying them forward day after day. And that was a very profound junction for me when I recognized that many of us as adults and young adults, we attach ourselves so much to these emotions that really don't matter. They mattered at some point, and maybe they even matter still, and they might add up to something in the future. But the amount of service that we give to them is kind of crazy and ridiculous. I have a couple people who I'm friends with who are trying to shake their addiction. And I have found much of my hang-ups before I could move on from one addiction to another was not finding the truth in the matter. And once I was able to pause long enough and tear apart all the lies that I was telling myself and all the attachments I had to what I thought was wrong in the world or unfair or my unworthiness. Once I faced those lies, then I could move on. And a lot of it was trusting myself that I was capable of change, that change was possible, that it was possible for me to stop shoving needles in my arms, that it was possible for me to live a different way. And although it was hard and maybe the route not clear, and the money wasn't there and the opportunities weren't presenting themselves, it was still possible. It was still possible that I could do something different. And mostly, the things in my way were me. And it was me not assembling the courage. And it was me not willing to do the work. And me not willing to get away from the bad environment and the unhealthy personal relationships that just kept me there. I was meeting with a mom yesterday who's facing perhaps the hardest crossroads of her life right now. We've talked about just about everything there is to talk about over the last few years. And in the end, when I left her yesterday, she was still unclear where to go or what to do, even though we had spent almost an hour mapping some things out together. I'm not shoving things down her throat. We're just sharing. And the parting words I left her with was shield and sword. You have your defense, you have your offense, you have your shield and sword. We all have that. We all have slight beliefs in parts of ourselves that are yet undeveloped. We all have a toughness to put up with a bunch of shit and to let maybe some unhealthy comments of others slide off us. It's possible. It's not easy. It's not fun. It's never going to be easy. Every single person I've ever met that I have had enough of a personal relationship with to begin to know each other, every single person has experienced something horrific in their life. A lot of us don't like to talk about that. One of the things I figured out is until I face that shit, I can't shake that shit. I can't move past my hang-ups until I tear it apart and dissect it and look at it and stare it down and grow to be taller than the things that used to scare the shit out of me. I still struggle every day, but I've learned to just get up and get going the best I know how. I write a lot. Writing helps me find my truth. I can't figure things out in my head unless I speak them or write them down. When I write them, I retain them, I don't lose them. So I can go back and maybe clean things up or expand upon them to dig to the bottom of my emotional well until there's nowhere else to go. And certainly for someone dealing with addiction, when there's nowhere else to go, we either start to claw and drag ourselves out of that death pit, or we don't make it. That's really it. We have to decide. We have to do the work. As much as I try to save people or help people or change people, I can't. I know that. I just try to shine a little light and share a bit of a roadmap where I've been and what I've seen and learned. But it ain't easy. But it's worth it. It's worth it because we can have any life we want. We can make change. We can grow. We can learn. We can adjust. It's hard. It's really hard. And sometimes we can't change everything we want to change. Much of it is out of our control. But we can change how we respond and how we face the day. I told a friend of mine today, the hardest shit I've ever had to deal with, that's the same stuff that I'm most proud of. The stuff that means more to me in the world were the most challenging things. My children, my friends, finding my peace, calm, and beauty, finding my truth, practicing my truth, moving on from one addiction to another. I'm in my 6th addiction right now, which is helping others. It's a little overwhelming at times. I try too hard. I do too much. I say too much. But every day I get feedback that tells me to keep going. Literal feedback, literal messages. Please don't stop. Please keep going. So, it is possible. It's possible you can change. It's possible you can leave it all behind. I've been clean from drugs 34 years, 6 months, and 25 days. April 4th, 1989. It's possible. You can do it. I know you can. I know it's possible. And I know you withhold the strength and the courage and the tenacity. So find your shield. Find your sword. Keep fighting. on your team. I can't be everywhere. I can't do everything. But I'll fucking try. Because I know you can get there. Because I did it. I know it. I know that you have it in you. And I know that the life you would rather live is out there. And probably even a better version of that exists. So, shield and sword. Love you guys. Go do good shit.